Let's see here. Eric Miller with the New Colonist.
Hi. Yeah, I wanted to ask a little bit about the highway system and transportation. Ron Paul said the other day that something to the effect that the national highway system was a mistake. Do you agree, and can you imagine the country without it? And where would transportation rank as you look to cut 43% spending?
Well, first of all, no, I don't see the national highway system as a failure. And if anything, from a libertarian standpoint, highways get funded from a tax that we pay at the pump that goes into roads. So, boy, there's a great example of, and I don't know what Ron Paul said, so I'm not thinking that I'm necessarily. I don't know what. I don't know under what context he was answering that question, but highway, back to fair tax, gasoline would get subject to the fair tax, and there would be an allocation for roads out of the fair tax. So I just think it's one of the perhaps the best example of taxation with benefit attached is gas tax. The money goes into roads, and yes, roads are important.
But you're on another side of that. You're using money from New York to subsidize roads in Nebraska. I mean, is that fair? I mean, in terms of being a national system.
No, to my knowledge, that is not the case. And correct me if I'm wrong. But it's my understanding that federal, well, first of all, we do have state taxes that apply to roads, and we do have federal gas tax that applies to federal roads. And so I don't think that there's a misallocation of other federal funds where a state may put in $1 and get back 60 cents, or a state may put in $1 and get back $1.40. I don't think that's the case when it comes to highways, but correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay, thank you very much.
And as governor of New Mexico, as president of the United States, I don't like the notion that a state puts in $1 and doesn't get back $1. Why do we have to give it to the federal government in the first place? That would be my contention. And why should a state put in $1 and get back $1.40? That's just not fair. So I would constantly be looking to remedy those inequities, and starting with less money to Washington in the first place.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Wouldn't the fair tax discourage consumption, though? I mean, the economy's been built in the last 50 or more years on cars and washing machines and everything else. All the other, soon-to-be obsolete consumer items we buy. I mean, if we start encouraging people to buy used items, what does that do to the economy?
Well, on a short-term basis, I think that you could be right with that analysis. But on a short-term basis, what we're going to end up doing is we're going to end up recycling a lot of the stuff that we should be recycling today, and we're not. So think about all the rusted-out cars that you see in people's yards that aren't being driven. You enact the fair tax. I think those old cars are going to get dusted off and used and worn out. And then what you're going to find after a short period of time is you're still going to have to. We still consume. We still buy things. So now we're just going to be a lot more selective on what it is that we buy, and consumption is not going to go away because we're going to wear out. We're going to wear out the stuff that we've been accumulating that we shouldn't be accumulating, but it's worth nothing. So with the fair tax, it actually becomes worth something. And I think we'll find ourselves recycling what we currently have, using it up, and then moving forward, you're gonna vote your tax dollars in what it is that you consume, and when I think about it, I think, wow, this really does establish a better order, if you will.
That's I'm just being devil's advocate though, but like I'm on my third digital camera I think this year. It's just there comes to be a problem and you just go get a new one. Isn't if I had to pay a 23% tax to purchase a new one, I might think more about, well, maybe I can get this one fixed, and that's great. But doesn't buying a new one every time something breaks, doesn't that keep the workers employed and the factories humming?
Well, so I don't know if that goes away at all. And then given the earlier theory that I talked about, which is that embedded in every camera right now is a 23% tax that by implementing the fair tax, you're going to bleed that 23% out to where actually the cost of the new camera is going to be cost neutral compared to what you're paying today. If you're paying $1 today for the camera with tax, enact the fair tax at 23%, and arguably, camera's still going to be $1.
Is the 23% on services or just products, new products?
New products and services, yes,
and
both.
And services. So if I got my camera repaired, I would pay 23% tax on that too.
And let me stress, this is revenue neutral. It's based on GDP and 23% of GDP. So this is revenue neutral. It still means that we have to cut government spending, but it's not designed to be more revenue or less revenue. It's designed to be revenue neutral, but enacting a system that's just really simple, fair and simple. We're doing away with the IRS.
Mm-hmm.